Hey everybody, I'm now at one of the busiest land border in the world, the Woodlands checkpoint. For many travelers, this checkpoint is the gateway from Singapore to Johor Bahru, Malaysia via road. Every day, thousands of people pass through Woodlands either by car, bus or even on foot. Whether you are here for a day trip, a shopping spree or to explore the culture in Johor Bahru, this is where the journey begins for Singaporean. Today, I bought a bus on a Saturday early morning just to beat the crowd and the traffic jam. The Johor-Singapore Causeway link Singapore and Malaysia Johor Bahru is 1 kilometer long, and it shoulders the responsibility of ferrying thousands of people through and through the two countries every day. The good thing is that the custom clearance today is a pretty smooth one, and I'm able to activate the electronic clearance at both sides of the custom. Once I'm through the Malaysian custom, I will find plenty of transport options to explore Johor Bahru. However, in this trip, I am taking a back seat instead of actively planning for this trip. The reason why I'm in JB is that a friend of mine mistakenly booked an extra room in a different hotel for today, which I really do not know how he managed to do it, but ended up doing this. My friend just approached me to see whether if I'm willing to take over the extra room. Why not? I tell myself, since I cannot remember when I last come into and visit Johor Bahru. Of course, those transit through Johor Bahru doesn't count at all. Given that, since my friend has a plan in Johor Bahru and I'm being invited just 3 days prior to today, I foresee myself playing a more passive role in this trip. That is to say, I will be the cameraman for my friend and see how a typical Singaporean like him does when coming into Johor Bahru. My friend will be totally in charge, so I'm just following along, capturing every moment as it unfolds. It is almost like I'm just a camera person for my friend today, and honestly, sometimes it's just nice to go with the flow, like in this trip. I am not informed priorly what he is going to do for this entire Johor Bahru trip. Throughout this trip, I am kept in the dark of his itinerary, which I thought is the fun part of this trip. Everything now from this instance is so impromptu and spontaneous. The public transport in Malaysia isn't as convenient as Singapore. So, the most convenient way of going from places to places in Malaysia Johor Bahru is by taxi and Grab services. The good thing is that due to the strong Singapore currency against the Malaysian dollar, most Singaporean is able to do such doorstep to doorstep Grab servicing without burning a hole in our pocket. We hail a Grab services from the Johor Bahru City Square shopping mall and travel out of the city center. On our way, we are able to see the lushness of this city, have a quick glimpse at the Johor Sultan Palace before heading into the suburb. It is a quick memory flashback for me, since it has been almost a decade that I last visited Johor Bahru in such detail. Where we are heading eventually is Taman Sentosa. Taman Sentosa is an old district within Johor Bahru city and established its name as the entertainment center in the good old days. While most parts of this town has been cleansed over the years, the good old food reputation of Taman Sentosa still persists. we met up with my friend's friends for an early dim sum breakfast. After the sumptuous breakfast, my friend leads me to Hotel V, which is just round the corner of the dim sum place that we had earlier. I know it is still a little bit early to do a check-in at 9:30 a.m. So naturally, I am asked to come back in the afternoon. My room is not ready to be checked in yet. We wasted no further time and hailed a cab to the next destination. From Taman Sentosa, our Grab brings us to the eastern corner of Johor Bahru city of Permas Jaya district. My friend has booked a dental appointment at a clinic over there. Just like many Singaporeans who does not have company medical and dental coverage, they would come to Johor Bahru to take advantage of the cheaper dental fees. I still have a good 2 hours waiting for my friend to complete his dental procedures. Instead of waiting at the dental clinic, I paid a visit to Aeon Permas Jaya Mall, which is located right opposite the dental clinic. Outwardly, this mall is a rather dated one as compared to the newer, flashier mega mall that sprouts all over Johor Bahru in the last few years. For a population of more than 1.2 million in metropolitan Johor Bahru, there are a couple of dozens of shopping malls, big ones, small ones, luxury ones, or even supermarket like this dotted all over the city. Supermarket that has been built over the last 20 years like Aeon supermarket here is a rather old school, and it is a very out of the way shopping mall. This mall does not have all the well-known restaurants and amenities that one would associate in the flashier newer mall. To an extent, it looks rather boring. However, this mall serves its function aptly as a supermarket. It has all what a supermarket should have. More importantly, given its out-of-the-way location, many drivers like coming to such suburb mall with its large, ample, free of charge car parking space. That is the appeal of such out-of-the-way supermarket like Aeon Permas Jaya. I blindly got into and followed my friend's Grab car. The interesting thing of being a passive follower on a trip is that I will never know what is going to take place in my next itinerary. The car cruised along the highway with Permas Jaya behind me. As the car passed by South Quay Shopping Mall, which is apparently one of the biggest and swanky shopping mall in Johor and even the entire Malaysia itself, I think to myself, is he going to bring me to another big shopping mall next? I've got my question answered as South Quay getting further and further away from me. Eventually, the Grab car stops in front of a construction site with a showroom. This construction site is right at Pandan district. I have never heard of Pandan district before I come to this trip. As I research subsequently, it turns out that Pandan is located 11.6 kilometers from the Singapore custom, and it takes 46 minutes on a normal off-peak traffic to reach this place. It then dawns on me that my friend is actually considering owning an unit in this development. Not just my friend. In the last few years, there seems to be an uptick of Johor Bahru properties among Singaporeans for reasons as follows. Firstly, Johor Bahru property affordability and space. In Singapore, property prices are famously high. making it challenging for many residents to afford spacious home. Johor Bahru, which is just across the Causeway, it offers home at a fraction of Singapore price. And not to mention Johor Bahru proximity to Singapore. Johor Bahru is just a short drive away, so it is easy for Singaporeans to cross the Causeway and head back whenever they need. Many Singaporeans working remotely or seeking a weekend getaway find this proximity ideal, as they can enjoy a second home without being far from Singapore. Johor Bahru is also being considered as a long-term investment potential. With the ongoing infrastructure project like the Rapid Transit System (RTS) linking Johor Bahru and Singapore, many believe property values in Johor Bahru will appreciate in the long term. The enhanced connectivity is expected to increase demand for such properties, making it a potential lucrative investment area. And of course, me coming to the age of being an uncle, so retirement and future plans come into mind. For many Singaporeans, Johor Bahru properties offer an affordable option for retirement or future living arrangement. With lower cost of living and a more relaxed environment, JB can be a practical choice for retirement or secondary residence. Pandan City Wholesale Market. Just like any potential property buyer, we will definitely research into the area around the condo development. What exactly we are looking for are things like the supermarkets, food center, if any, and other amenities to support our living if we choose to live here. There is a wet market that we see from a distance. Both my friend and I deliberated if we should go in there since we are a little bit hungry from walking around the places. Well, since we are already here, it makes sense for us to do a full recce. It turns out that this is the Pandan City Wholesale Market, as I found out much later. I am certainly in for a surprise when I arrive at the wet market. That's because the wholesale market outside is rather depressing with its rundown exterior. So naturally, we will think that it will be just as boring as rundown inside the market. We thought of just doing a quick swing by quickly inside the wet market beside it. Never would I know that what I'm seeing in there really overwhelms me. In the middle of a nowhere of a Johor Bahru suburb, I would never expect so much activities going on inside the wet market. Right in front of my eyes, there are so many fresh produce that makes my jaw drop. The seafood are the freshest that I can see. That is even fresher than what I can find in supermarkets. Well, you may ask, how do I know? It's through my nose actually. There is hardly any fishy smell lingering, unlike the wet market elsewhere. That goes to vouch the freshness of the seafood in there. Besides that, I am dazzled by the colors and noises in there. Even though it could be just a wholesale wet market, given the grandeur of it, I got so impressed with what I see that I turned around and tell my friend that he will never get hungry if he were to get this condo. Pandan mutton soup. We are still walking around the condo development, trying to check out the amenities of this suburb area. While the area around Pandan district is largely undeveloped, we probably are quite optimistic about its potential in future. While at the Pandan Residence showroom, we asked the property agent what are the popular nice food that we can go to. In the end, we are being thrown a couple of names. One of the names that was given is Pandan Mutton Soup. Just like many hidden food venues in Malaysia, this restaurant is hidden in the midst of a residential village. Unless you are guided by local or through word of mouth, you would never want to go so deep in a village for food. From afar, the exterior of the restaurant looked pretty quiet. At first thought, we wonder if we are at the right place, given that we just rely on the signage outside of the village to lead us here. But wow, I do not expect to see so many people inside the restaurant. So we must be at the right place. I ordered as much food that I can order, including the roasted lamb that is only available during weekends and public holiday. And chicken rice in a mutton restaurant? The chicken is served before mutton. Just looking at the yellowish skin, such color skin differentiates itself as kampong chicken as compared to the rest of the chicken that we are used to eating. And geez, I'm so pleasantly surprised on how tender the chicken is. Then serve the dark sauced noodle. Oh my, that is so delicious, so Malaysian style noodle. We both like the noodle so much that we ordered another bowl to share. After that comes the main dish, the mutton soup. The soup has got this very medicated taste, just like the Malaysian style bak kut teh, except that it is in the form of a mutton. Personally, I'm not an expert in mutton and not a great fan of this meat, but I can vouch that it doesn't have the smell that one would associate with mutton, that typical mutton smell. And the kopi is also ooh la la, very potent and very traditional taste. It is such a great meal and costs only 123 ringgit between the two of us. This is such great value with so much food that I believe it would cost 30% more expensive if we have similar items at any Johor Bahru shopping mall. The food here in Pandan Mutton is great, but what is more memorable is the great service this restaurant provides to its customer. The tropical rain caught up with us after we finished our food, and while waiting for our next grab, we saw the concierge of Pandan Mutton sheltering and ferrying customer with his big umbrella to his car. That is bringing customer service to its next level. Please subscribe and like this video, and until the next episode, happy traveling.